Welcome to another episode on the Unbalanced Pedestal podcast with, of course, your host. You know me already. If you watched my previous episodes, you know my name is Teen Marie. Thank you so much for just following, subscribing, commenting, sharing my episodes for those that you know that could benefit from, as well as just using it for yourself in developing what could be to get past anything, any doubts, any fears that you may have been just holding on for so long, to get past any hurdles, obstacles that you feel that you are not worthy of even going, just moving forward from it, not to be stuck in that same place. So I want to say thank you so much for just, just sticking it out with me. And it's only the beginning. Yeah, there's like so many things that I have planned, that I envisioned. And, this is like, again, the beginning of many things to come. One of my friends, she's going to be hosting a huge event, and I'm so happy to, just be a part of it and just to lend a helping hand and, plan the thing and just be a support, because that's what you do with the people in your community, is to give that support to the people that who truly deserve it. And if you have listened to my podcast, or you are one of my clients, or you are just a follower on my Instagram page, you would know that I'm a big advocate for just yourself, what that means, taking care of yourself first. We all hear that you can't give from an empty cup. You have to do for yourself before you do for anyone else. Give that oxygen, on an airplane, to yourself first before you administer to someone else, like a child or whoever it is. Because if you give it to someone else, what happens? You run out of oxygen, and your chances of living, it's very slim, right? So today I want to talk about this one because I'm developing a new program, and it's going to be geared towards independent mothers. Because myself, I am an independent mother. And so it's only right to share what I have gone through, things that we can do as women who have children. And this can be either you could be in a committed relationship. You may be in a relationship where you have a significant other that, they're just there. They have their purpose. But also just as a woman in general with children, because it is tough for a lot of moms out there. I can say that for myself because I went through a lot of things myself. And, that was like one of the questions where there's like, I don't know how you do it. And it's just, you just do it because you have to. And I know that doesn't go for every, single person who is a mother. They, you may see some mothers who are not attentive to their children, who do not want to push them, or they just kind of like, let them do what they want to do. And that's how some people parent, and you can't knock them for that. You can't force that mother to change her mindset of how she's raising her child because you don't see it's fit. If that's how she sees fit, how she see that is fit and that was what's right, then you just leave it alone. That's how she wants to raise her children, and that's how you just leave it, right? So I am, specifically talking about mothers, independent mothers, who they give their all. They put everyone else first, primarily the children, primarily their significant other, their partner, whoever it is that's in your life that also shares your time. So those are the women that my program will be created for. But to sit dial it back and get back to the episode, it's I definitely want to talk about, why you just can't build yourself up from the ground. And it's, it's the truth that it's people just if you're watching this and you click on this title and you're like, what do you mean I can build myself up from the ground? What I mean is that it takes a whole lot of patience. It takes a whole lot of courage. It takes a whole lot of standing your ground. It takes, oh my gosh, determination of like, you are determined, like you're literally a lioness in the wild. When you want to build yourself up from the ground and you're starting over from scratch, it is, and consistency. So you have all of those things, right? And it's not just, okay, I just start over from scratch. Tomorrow's a new day, or tomorrow is the new year, January 1st. It's great when you say it out loud and you tell, oh yeah, I'm going to change. But change is something that you really have to fight for. And change is exhausting. Change is exhausting, especially if you're set in your ways. If you're so used to doing a habit, if you're so used to going with the flow in certain things, if you're just like, you're not very comfortable of just trying new things. So for some people, build this themselves from the ground up. It's a lot of dedication, consistency, it's courage, bravery, strength, it's confidence, it's love for oneself. It is with boundaries. It's a whole slew of things. And top of all of that is, of course, it goes back to the mindset. So why you can't build yourself up, right? The first one is it takes strength. Not strength as in, building, going to the gym and having those muscles, but it's, yes, overall taking care of yourself, but it's also the strength that's up in here. The strength that you need to stand up for what you believe in. This is, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to quit doing this. I'm going to quit answering to this other person. I'm going to quit this behavior. I'm going to quit this bad habit and form a new one in the process. And that we talked about a little bit about habit stacking. And if you need more guidance on what that is, habit stacking, the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a great book to read, and that you can find in the link in the description box will take you to a website that has all the books listed for the previous episodes that I would recommend to read. And these are only books that I've actually read and not just like throwing them out there. So these are like, my picks of personal development books that I personally read and I have done. So, strength is just not, again, it's just literally putting your foot down and saying no to whoever is asking you to do something that you don't want. This is saying no to your children, which I know for many of you, it's hard because you feel like you brought them into this world and you need to get them every single thing that you have. And I do get that. I know that's understandable. I was, I struggled with that for a very long time where I remember as a young mother, it's like, do I get this for myself or do I get this for my children? And so it used to be for myself, right? And then slowly the scales were tipping as they come first, and then I'll just get the second, the leftovers. Like at Thanksgiving, 5 days later, you're still having that turkey, that dry turkey in the fridge. That's like, I don't want to eat another turkey sandwich again. to dial it back to, it takes strength. So it takes strength to put yourself first, to realize what your dreams are, to realize that everything you've been doing up until this point, up until the point where you're saying no more, that when you're really feel it within yourself, and you have that conviction that I'm not doing this tomorrow, like I'm not doing this no more. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is my January 1st. I am going to change. And again, you have to be ready for the consequences, because when you're starting out and building yourself from the ground up, you're going to have a lot of adversity. You're going to have a lot of adversity where people are just not going to, again, they're not going to like this new person that just came along. They're not going to like if you change your tone or the way you dress or how you style yourself, all of these things, what makeup you have, how your hairstyle is, how you just not available for them. Like the simplest thing is not being available for them. That is going to be a huge thing for you to deal with. And in order for you to, again, that strength, and it takes strength, the first step is to literally be one with yourself, stand in your conviction, and just say no. And again, you're going to feel that you should do certain things because you have a history with this person, they're your best friend, they're your neighbor, your family member. And then it's just once they get that little yes from you that you shouldn't give, it's like peeling back, a banana, right? It's, oh, we're just gonna keep poking her to get her to have some empathy, he or she. They're gonna ask you to the things that they say, have empathy, and then you're gonna let your guard down, right? And then once you're claiming that this is a new person, this is who you are, all that what you said, that you're not letting this happen anymore, they already won, because you let them penetrate. You let them peel the banana peel, that skin down, and they're just gonna keep going and keep going and keep going and keep asking you, and you're gonna be saying yes to the things that you should be saying no. So strength is very important to build yourself from the ground up. And I'm gonna take a drink here. The next one is why you can't build yourself up, is that it takes a lot of energy. So when I say energy, yes, it takes energy, meaning along with the strength that you build your, I don't want to say your wall, but your wall, right? You want to have your onion unpeeled, your banana unpeeled. You want to have, I like to use the metaphor like the moat. You're in a castle, like you want to be fortified. So you need to keep up your energy, your endurance, while you're rebuilding yourself from the ground up, if that's what you choose to do. Because if you don't have the energy going along with the strength to build yourself up, if people just wear you down, like how little kids do, they'll keep asking you for the same thing. They keep asking you for the same thing. And you're just like, I'm just so tired. I just take whatever. I don't really care. Just, go have a snack. Go, sure, just go ahead. And because you're so drained, you're not focused on what it is. And this is very important because one is, energy can be talked about in different ways. And I will explain in which ways that I'm referring to in this conversation with you. So again, we talk about the energy where, it's tied to your strength, where you just have this energy and you're tired, and you just like, "Ugh, you know what, just go ahead. You're compromising." There's another part of the energy that you also need to be aware of, is, going back to, tying back to your environment. those people. And again, environment I refer to is your religious organizations. This is your groups. This is the people at your job. This is people that's within your building, your household. This is people that's in your neighborhood. These are people who you're volunteering at different organizations. These are people that you communicate online with. This is your whole environment. So, and the things that you listen to and watch as well. So when you think about energy and what is that energy that's coming in towards you to feed you, to give you the strength in order for you to build yourself from the ground up. All right. So if you're listening to, music that is not uplifting your inner core, your energy that's within yourself, if it's not changing your mindset to go to the next level within the next few weeks or months of your life, on this trajectory that you have for yourself, as far as if you're willing to sacrifice a lot of things in your life to build yourself from the ground up, what is it that you're taking in? What is it that you are extruding to? Because sometimes the energy that you also take in, that you put right back out into other people, and so it could be reciprocal. So if you're giving that negative energy, those negative vibes, it's going to come back to you. So along with your strength, which is the first one, the second is your energy. What is the energy that you are putting out there? What is the energy that you are taking in, right? It's, it's the infinity. It just keeps looping. Whatever you give out there, it comes in, you internalize it. So that's another way of thinking about what your energy, as far as building yourself from the ground up, if this is what you choose to do in the next few weeks, the next few months, right? And when you're building yourself right now, I say, you know the next few weeks, the next few months, so it's a continuous process. So it's continuously, every single day you have to just keep going. You're going to have your down days, you're going to have your up days, but you just keep going, don't look back. It's like, the Olympics, for those who watch it, those who, football, the running backs, they catch that ball and they gone. They don't look back. They just run. Because once you look back, it slows you down. Like literally, it slows you down. So you just keep running for that goal, score that touchdown, right? The next one is, it takes love. Now, this is a very statement, right? It takes love. What is love? This is, I'll dice up in a few sections. So love is one, not just the love for everyone in your environment, right? But this is the love for yourself, the love that's in here, because the love that you've been giving out all of these years has been given out to every single person that you meet, every single person that's in your family. These are your friends. You're showing that you care about them, that you're there for them. You answer the phone calls, your text messages. You are that person that they can count on. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're working to build yourself from the ground up, you have to change all that. You literally have to turn all of that love that you are giving out, like candy on Halloween, you have to turn that back onto yourself. And this is something that you have to give to yourself, sorry. So it's just going back to, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So you can't give out all your love to everyone and then give it to yourself, because guess what? There's going to be none for yourself. Your love for yourself, it's so many people. I know you've seen in so many places. You heard about different coaches talking about it. You hear about different reels and TikToks and other people talking about self-love. But we talk about self-love because we have been through it. We have been through the period of our lives where we just give out our love, but we don't have it within ourselves. And this is where a lot of people are experiencing, and this is not a scientific fact or claiming of anything, but this is just based on my experience, that when you don't have self-love for yourself, you will experience anxiety, more stress, and more depression. Those things that a lot of people may or may not say they have, or they may hide. But again, if you've been watching my channel, if you've been follow me, my posts and different things like that, you would know that this is something that I have suffered in the past, where anxiety and stress was so prevalent in my life. It was just something that was always there before I was born. And that's a fact because I see it in my parental figures. This the stress and anxiety, and I talked about this in my previous video, my episode, where if a woman is pregnant and they are, I believe, I think it's one of my environment, either episode 7 or 8. So where the woman is pregnant, and some cultures or races, they may have the stomach, or when I say the stomach, meaning the headphones big enough for that, but or just like stereo music playing with classical music, because it calms not only the mother, but it also calms the baby. So they get those good vibes, any anxiety or stress, because this is what we are born with. So again, going back to like the family, the generational curses. So stress and anxiety is something that I can definitely say that from my family history, this is something that was always carried, through the bloodlines. So going back to, love for oneself, right? So when you have love for oneself, and again, I'm talking from my personal experience and what I see in others, how they've changed. When you don't have love for yourself, you are being selfless. That means you're not giving a crap about how you feel about yourself. You're not caring about what you look like. You are not caring about just your day to day. And when I say about what you look like, and I don't mean, getting all glammed up with makeup if you're a woman who's watching this, or a guy. Yes, we do those things to make ourselves feel good. And that shows, how much we care about ourselves and love ourselves or whatever. Some people take it to the extreme. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm talking about, how do you see yourself? What do you look like? Like when you look in the mirror, do you see the person that you want everyone else to see in the world? Do they see your kindness? Do they see how awesome you are? Do they see your contribution to society? Are they seeing that you're a genuine person? Are they seeing who the true you? I mean, that's self-love. Like when you go out there and, like, say one day you look like a hot mess, right? But you're like, I don't care. I still look good, mentality. Like, I love myself. So I don't care what no one else says. That's, one with confidence and amongst other things, but you love yourself. Like you're not caring about who you are trying to impress. There are some people who um, don't love themselves, and they are not genuine to the world. They're living a double life. They are just, they present themselves to the world as if they're this one person, and then they come home to their family and they're like a totally different person. So it's like, night and day kind of person. where they just, again, like I said, they live in a double life. So going back to self-love, it's about taking care of yourself, putting yourself first. Are you feeding yourself? Are you nurturing your soul? Are you sitting down with yourself and being comfortable? Or are you seeking some kind of external validation for someone else to love you because you don't know how to love yourself? So these are things that you need to look at, because when you look at self-love and external validation, there's a correlation between the two. It's about you really don't know how to not be afraid to have someone to say, yes, I approve of you. That's basically self-validation. It's about you literally your every waking day, your whole entire existence relies on that person accepting you for who you are. Now, when you dig deeper into who you are, who are you? Are you validating for this fake person that you are putting out into the world? Are, are they validating that person that you have to keep playing this whole charade just to, get that step of approval, literally? Or are you seeking that validation to hide the trauma, the pain that you are going through, that you've been going through for a very long time, that you refuse to address? And are you looking to have them fill that void of abandonment that you may have experienced as a child? Are you, are you seeking some kind of approval from this person or persons or this group because it just makes you feel wanted, and that goes along with, abandonment. And I'm repeating this same, word in different forms because that's something that, a lot of people have experienced that they may not realize, because I went through that and I didn't realize until I was much older that why I was having, relationships or friendships, I was seeking these out, not even knowing why, and then at the end, I'm like, why these relationships or friendships don't work out? Because of the unaddressed trauma that I was seeking. So as you get older, you get wiser, and you're like, you have these self-actualizations. And I hope, many of you do have those because they're wonderful. And, you really, once you get to love yourself, you have the energy that you're putting into yourself, and you have the strength to keep whatever is not serving you out of your life, you will start to have this flow of, like, that makes sense of why this happened and why I reacted, or why the outcome turned out this way. It's because of XYZ that happened to me in the past and why I reacted to that, or why that person reacted to my response. So a lot of that is going to come, during the journey of your healing process. And so going back to, the self-love, again, when you have this deep love for yourself and you're feeling those highs, which is awesome. Everyone wants to be on this, this higher spiritual level. You have the high vibes, everything, your alignment, everything is going great. And then there's some days it's just like, man, today was a rough day. But on the flip side of those rough days, it's not as bad as you have those low vibes, because you keep up that energy, you're keeping up that strength, you're keeping up those boundaries, you're keeping up that confidence that you have, and you have that self-love. So no matter what happens, you're like, all right, this happened. Let's figure out a way to get around it, and we'll start over again tomorrow. And that's it. And when you have that love for yourself, you're not going to get angry at yourself. You're not going to be upset that you made a mistake. You're like, okay, I messed up. All right. You admit it, because you're authentic. And, that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize that I do. And it's like, yeah, I mess up. All right. I'll take care of it. I don't beat myself up because I am human. And again, I talked about this I'm not sure what episode it was, but there are people who are just like, if they tell you if you even hear that they have messed up, it's like, and they say it out loud, it's like for them, and you can see it, it's just like, you feel like they're going to the guillotine or something. It is like so fascinating. I don't know. I'm weird. I like to watch people, and just like, or they just like go down this whole circle, like it's not me, it's them, and da da da. It's like, dude, like it's your job to do XYZ. Like, it's just like all these excuses, and it's like, oh God, like it's like digging himself even deeper, and it's like, just stop, just stop, please stop. You're making it worse. I already know. I mean, I know, okay? Just like, you just stop. Anyway, so when you have like the self-love for yourself, it's just, you're not as harsh, you give yourself grace because you're a human being. There is no human being on this earth that is perfect. And, you can look perfect, you can act perfect, but you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make the wrong decisions. You're going to, make the wrong choices. You may marry the wrong person. You may, accept the wrong job. You may bought the wrong car. You may have bought the wrong house. Whatever it is, we all make mistakes. But the one thing that it's important to realize out of those mistakes is, have you learned that lesson? That's, ultimately what it is. Or, have you acknowledged the lesson of that mistake? Because if you don't acknowledge it and you're just like, oh my gosh, and then you run to that same mistake again, and then what will you do? Are you going to repeat yourself? Or are you going to say, you know what, let me try something different. Let me try another avenue in order to get a different result, because last time it didn't work. And if I keep going this direction, it's not going to work. So you have to analyze, does that work for you? Okay, so we talk about self-love, not just, doing the self-care, which is important, and, self-care, especially for women, things you do for yourself that gives you joy. And, we're not talking about, spending $100 to get your nails done. There's there's alternative options out there. You got the pop-ons, pop-on nails. You can do it yourself, whatever it is that gives you that oomph of confidence. You have that strength. It brings your energy up. All of those things, that goes along with the self-love, right? The self-care. You get your hair did, extensions these days, various forms compared to back in I was getting my hair done in the 90s, where you just have to like put the extensions in like manually. That sounds weird. Where you actually have to like braid in the hair to get a hairstyle. Nowadays you just like loop it in, or you clip it in, or you tape it in. There's no more gluing. Or I don't know who can get glue anymore. I feel sorry for them. But anyway, sorry. Getting off topic here, getting off topic. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, self-care for yourself does not have to be expensive. Self-care for yourself can be, you know what? I've been doing good in my diet. I'm going to have a cheat meal. Cheat days are very dangerous. A cheat meal, and that's just my opinion, because you can go overboard with that cheat day and then suffer consequences. But or I'm going to treat myself to go to a particular store and buy, my favorite ice cream. I'm going to go to, the movies. I'm going to go to my favorite restaurant. I'm going to take a trip out of the state. I'm going to go driving, for those, like, I love driving out of state. It's like, for me, it's therapeutic. You're not having to deal with metro traffic, and you go at decent speed. I won't say what speed I drive at, but I was, one of my past lives, I would definitely say that I was probably a race car driver. And I'll leave it at that. But self-love, it's in so many forms, that it's whatever that sings to your heart, what makes your heart sing. And so, it could be just chilling, kicking it by yourself, watching whatever you want to watch. You may want to sit down and read a book. You may just want to just relax and just do nothing, whatever it is for you. You may want to garden. I love doing that, playing in some dirt, go to the beach. That's self-love. Just taking time out for yourself, not having to worry about someone else, taking care of someone else in that moment. So you need to find your self-love for yourself. In order for you to build yourself from the ground up, this is something that you need to do. So the next thing in why you can't build yourself from the ground up, it's all about flow. And flow, it's about not just going with the flow and see what happens. And a part of being yourself, it's just like, you're just like, how do I explain it from my point of view? Like, the flow, it's just like this energy of, this power within you, where you can just, I don't know, revert to like a Disney type of movie, but it's kind of like how you see the, like, in one, like the cartoons or the animations, where it's just like this mist, and you just like light and airy, and you just want to, this, you're like another level, like you're just like in this like clouded space. So that's why I'm talking about the flow. When you have like the flow of love and the energy and the strength, and you're just like your ease, and you're not having anything, it's kind of like a hot air balloon. That's probably like a better example, like a hot air balloon, where you're not really weighed down. And so when I think of flow, in the process of how to build yourself from the ground up, it's not, you're not being like tethered one to everything that was going on to your past. You're just like literally coasting, and you're rising above all of that nonsense, whatever is happening in your environment, that energy that's being I guess pushed towards you, the negative energy, that you're just like, no, I'm going to rise above that. So when again, the flow, the love you have for yourself, the energy, the strength, all of those things, it's like that. I feel like I was going to take a meditation moment for a second. um, the next one is, you need imagination. What the heck does that have to do with me building myself from the ground up, you say? Well, if you can imagine yourself at a higher level, if you can imagine yourself at a place where you get everything that you want, or you obtain most of the goals you can right now, and the goals that you are striving to obtain, in the future, then there's no point of you trying to build yourself from the ground up. Because if you can't see that for yourself, who's going to see it for you? The people that's wanting you to stay on their level? Is it the people who are literally fighting tooth and nail to tell you how crappy you are as a person, to tell you that you're not worth crap, to tell you that you don't deserve a better life than they do? So when you have your imagination, where you dream and you can feel you being there, you can taste it, you've probably even been there, you may have went to a location or a destination. You're like, I can imagine myself living this life, right? So once you have that, that is locked into you, right? No matter, again, when you have that vision, people have vision boards just to remind themselves over and over what their goal is. But when you have that vision and you imagine what your life can be like, or that experience that you had, right, that you recently had, you're like, this is it. Once you have that, and whatever happens to your life, what happens along the way in your journey, whoever you meet, you want to you're going to start to align yourself with those people in your life to help you make those dreams, that vision, to come true. Because again, going back to the energy of your, who you bring in, like, again, what, and the high energy that you bring um into your body is a signal that you give out, right? And so you're going to attract, I don't know, the law of energy. It's probably, I don't know if that's, I'm not sure if that's a thing. There's many laws. So but if that is a law and this is what I'm saying is true, then great, because I'm just saying this again, just having this conversation with you. But that energy that you're bringing in, those high vibes, you're going to attract those high vibe people in your environment. And so you're like, okay, I can share my vision with these people. I can share, what I've imagined for myself. And they're like, oh yeah, I've done that. I can do that. I can show you how to do that. And then they will help you and whatever, when I say help, meaning however you guys work it out, right? Be a service of, one another, you be a service to them. If they're your mentor, your coach, or whoever it is, but you will identify those people who is like, you know what, I can help you do this, or I may not be able to help you, but I know resources. I can, introduce you to someone else who is, was in the same position that you were, and they managed to get themselves to the level that you're seeking, or to the level where they're at, from your position. So when you give out that energy, you have that vision, you have that imagination of what you want for your life, that will happen. And that's something that we need, especially if you're building yourself from the ground up. Because this can be something, not as something that's explosive, where you have, a private island, your own helicopter pad on the yacht. This is like, could be something very, very minimal. It can be, how do I, again, very minimal. You have that imagination. How do I get people to respect me? Very minimal. So if you have this imagination, this vision where you walk into a room, or you're sitting at the conference room table or at the table, right? And how do I get people to listen to me, when I speak, or how do I command the room? So when you envision something like as small as that, how do I get my neighbor to stop harassing me? every single day, as you, so like little things. So this could be any kind of imagination, like what you envision yourself that you are like, this is how it's going to be. So think about it in that, regards. The next one is the last one. I would say you need to evolve. You need to evolve. And this one is very tricky for a lot of people. Take some drink here. So what I mean by evolution, right? Evolving. It's, let's do a simplest form. A caterpillar, right? They, you know, go into, they really crystallize, which turns into a cocoon, and they either one become a butterfly or they become a moth. So higher energy, low energy. I'm not saying moths are bad, but they do do a lot of stuff. But anyway, we're not gonna talk about bad about moths, but because everyone loves butterflies, right? So, you know, you come out from one stage, a insect with many, many, many legs, a long body, to something, another insect that has wings, right? So in the beginning of your life, you're grounded. You're just walking around, you are just living life, you are doing the things that you need to do in your life. You're taking the actionary steps in your life. And it may take some time, it may take, for some, a few months, a few years, but you're still taking those steps in your life. Again, whatever the highs and lows of life that come along, you're like, yeah, okay, it's cool, whatever. Because when you have the high energy, you have that high vibe. So you're like, you're not going to let yourself, or you're not going to you're not going to beat yourself down because something happened that was a life threatening, you know? And when I say life threatening, meaning that you're able to overcome it within how much time it takes you to figure that solution to that problem out, when it happens. All right. So you're a caterpillar going through life, going through the motions of life. And then as long as you keep on that trajectory, then you go through into your cocoon, right? Everything that you have accumulated, that you have learned, everything that you are so certified, so certain, you are like, it gets tightened. It gets, what is the word I'm trying to look for? It gets literally solidified, right? It gets crystallized. And then it's like everything that you knew is like, and then all of a sudden you go to another higher level. You reach a whole nother level. And then you have this explosion. I'm acting out. I'm sure this is not what butterflies do. But for the sake of talking about, evolution, evolving, this is my this is my description, if that's the right word, but whatever, let's go with it. So you go to another level, you have reached this new heights in your life. You are this person that you've been working on for so long. And again, it all depends on you, how much strength, how much energy, how much love, which is about self-love, how much flow, how much imagination, like what you envision, and how much, ultimately how all that turns into how you evolve into the next chapter, the next, you know, chapter, the next book, the next page, the next level the next, um, you know, the next part of your life. That's what it is. And then you do the same thing all over again. You thought it was over? Of course not. So again, you get to that metamorphosis level, of uh becoming a butterfly, right? It's just like for humans, we start out as one, well, two parts, right? And then you become an embryo, you become a fetus, and then you become a baby, a newborn. You think I know this already, right? And then you become a toddler. No, you become an infant. No, you're an infant when you're born. Then you're a toddler. Gosh, this is like, I feel like I'm quizzing myself on, this is horrible. Don't judge me. You become a toddler. Then you become what, a preteen, teenager, adolescence, a young adult. And then you go to, the different stages. So you're a young adult, then you become an adult, and then I guess you're an adult for a while. Then you get into your mature age, and then what comes after that? I don't know. I haven't got there yet. Elderly. So I'm trying to be funny, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So it's just like, those stages of humans, right, that we go through. So, just think about, life just like that. You have, in order for you to build yourself from the ground up, from scratch, from ground zero, you have to incorporate a lot, if not all, I should say, all of these things into what you are doing. I have no idea what that was. But anyway, you're gonna have to just literally incorporate all of these things into our daily lives in order for us to build ourselves from the ground up. If you need to, build yourself from the ground up, and there's like no doubt, no question that this is what you want to do, then you need to really, sit down, map it out, your what your vision is for yourself, where you want to go, what people that you need to cut out your life, who do you need to keep in your life, who do you need to seek that's brand new, that's outside to help you in order for you to achieve that vision you have for yourself. Who are you going to have as, an accountability partner to say, you know what, you shouldn't do that. That's not, that's not going to according to what you have planned out. This is not going to what your beliefs are. Why are you giving so much of yourself to, XYZ person when they're the same person who you needed help from turned you down? So these are the things that and, that I personally have gone through but it's just, I have gone through it because I was that person who, again, came from a person who always gave, and, basically a people pleaser. And so now that I'm no longer that, again, it took a period, a time in order for me to do all of these things, the strength, the energy to keep whatever that was out, the low energy that I was experiencing in those environments, to say, I don't want that anymore. And literally feeding my brain different type of motivational speeches and watching videos and just like keeping it all, I'm better than this. I can do better. I deserve better. All of these things, this energy that you keep flowing, that you are worthy of more and not less, right? And what's flowing through you, the self-love that you have for yourself is so important. I cannot tell you how much self-love and knowing your self-worth is so important, because a lot of, again, going back to independent mothers, we give a lot of ourselves, and we don't have any to give us. The mothers in, my sister, unfortunately, she gave herself a lot. And at the end, she got sick, and she just gave. And then, even when, her times of joy is when she got to travel, but this is like when she, like, later in life. But when, raising her children, she was always a stay-at-home mom. um and that's something that, again, she didn't get to enjoy her life because she's giving and giving and giving. And then, again, when you're just tired, right, when you're just tired of just giving, and you just want to give up on life. And I'm not saying that's what happened to her, but I'm just giving you an example where it's just, if you don't have that barrier, that protection of yourself to say, this is where I draw the line in the sand for myself, that you cannot cross this line. Like, I need my own space, I need my own time. And this is what you have to do, because literally, self-love, again, skipping all this stuff that you hear about, and nutrition. Like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you literally taking care of your body, this thing that your soul is inside? You only get one body, right? And are you taking care of your body? Are you, on a healthy path? And when I say healthy, I'm not talking about you eating 2 calories a day and drinking, some kind of protein shake. I'm talking about, are your are your test results healthy, where you're not going to dangerous numbers? Are you checking on yourself? Like, are you going to the doctor, just doing like the bare minimum? Some people don't even do the bare minimum. Like, people don't go to doctors to get blood tests, and just to see where you're at. Is your sugar levels where they're at? Are you eating foods that you're not supposed to be eating because you may be allergic to them? Guilty. um, you know, because the majority of the foods in that's processed, I would say processed, but that is sold, have, it has, for me, is soy. Everything is soy. So for me, I had to be strategic. And the times where I say, you know what, maybe just one time, I was like, nope. It's like, oh, you wanna be like that? All right, I got something for you. That's my body talking. So it's like, all right, here's the consequences. So, things like that. Are you listening to, this? Are you looking at, are you viewing the signs? Are you paying attention to your body? Because some people may not be sensitive to, the things that are going on with the body. It's, and when I say sensitive, like, you can literally feel a shift. You're like, okay, I just ate something, I just drank something, I'm having this reaction. Being like really aware, self-aware of yourself. I don't know how that sounds when I just said it, but hopefully this sounded right to you guys. But just really understanding where you are internally, again, not mentally, but internally with your organs, and making sure those things are correct. Because once you hit that threshold, and I can't really speak to this because I never, thankfully, have gone anywhere near those levels, but, to reverse certain diseases, it's going to take a whole lot of time for people to do that, because they have to get it up in their head that they have to cut out a lot of, what they're eating. They have to start exercising, which they probably hate doing. They're going to have to take in shots, taking pills, like all of these things. So for me, it's like, why would you want to do those things to risk yourself, right? So, I mean, and I'm just not to say, okay, once in a while you have something that makes you feel good. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you literally putting yourself in harm's way because you don't have control, because, it's what um it's really feeling that void. And I know foods can do that. Like one of my things is carbs. Like I love carbs. Like I think I was probably like a cracker back in the days. Like, it's like carbs are so good. They're so satisfying, empty calories, but it's just like, I don't know what it is about them. They're sexy. No. If carbs was a person, I'm filing sexual harassment charges against this woman. But you know what I'm trying, what I'm saying? People have a sweet tooth. I used to have a sweet tooth when I was a teenage, well, I'll say early 20s. But again, that was based on stress. So, I learned, my own stress levels, or when I get anxiety, if I'm snacking too much, or so it's like, okay, what am I anxious about? And I pay attention to those things. And so, like, okay, if I'm craving something, then I do my best to choose a healthier option, even though that healthy option may be OD, have like a whole huge bowl of grapes. So good. But digressing again. But you get what I'm saying, right? So, again, self-care. Are you literally paying attention to your insides? Like, what is your insides are saying? And that's all part of how you can build yourself from the ground up. And if this is something that you want to do, you really have to take it seriously. You really have to take it seriously every single day. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard in the beginning, but I would definitely say when you get to, year one, that, even before that, it's going to be so much easier for you. You're going to look at what you look at when you journal, that you are going to say, wow, I've came such a long way. I didn't think I had the strength to do this. I didn't think I had the energy. I didn't think I had the love within myself, to have the love within myself, to have for myself. I didn't think that I would have the imagination to evolve and to flow into the spaces that I need to go into. And it's all going to be all worthwhile. It's all going to be worthwhile. And again, I'm speaking from experience. And ultimately, this is what a little bit of the breakdown of the new program that I will be rolling out and I'm working on. And I feel like, it's so important to share this because it's, it's not just about, the whole part of this whole podcast was to initially, break the generational curses, right? And this is in all the forms, which is like love, self-love, confidence, boundaries. This is with finances, and this is with relationships, and it's with environments, and so on and so forth, right? Wealth and, leaving a legacy, all of these things. But all of that cannot be done unless you fix what's within you. And so this program that I'm working on, it helps with that. That's the guide to, as a group, as a community, to really get step by step guidance, with someone who has gone through that as an independent mother. who has, uh, you know, raised your children, continuing to raise your children, no matter how old they get, no matter if they're in college, they graduate from college and they're on their own, regardless, you're still a mother. But at the same time, you are making sure that you are taking care of your needs, right? But I, you're taking care of your needs. And at the same time, so it's like, so you're raising your children, continue to raise your children, you're showing them how to, what you learned about how to show the self-love for yourself, to show the confidence, to show how the steps they need to do to navigate, right? Because you're always going to do that. You're always going to parent them. And then for them to make the best choices so they don't run into the same issues as you were. So you giving them that blueprint at an early age and not letting them figure it out when maybe they're 70 years old, right? Because that happens too. So you're giving them that blueprint, you have your own blueprint, and you are taking, what you have learned for yourself, and you are living your life. So, it's not boxing you in to be just this one person. Because you're an independent mother does not mean that you have dedicated your whole entire life to raising your children or your child. Being an independent mother, it means you give, part of your love to yourself first. And then this is giving your love to your children in whatever percentages you want to give it to, depending on how old they are and who needs the most, right? But, it's all about that. And so um, that's where I leave you with. It's just, think about all of that. If you want to, build yourself from the ground up, you need to start with what is in here and what's in here, your mindset and the self-love that you have for yourself. And again, talking about all of the things that I've talked about today, it's all about what you put out there, that energy, that flow, the imagination, and how you're going to evolve. How you're going to evolve to that person that you see yourself, that you imagine yourself to be. And again, and it's not about beating yourself up of, oh my gosh, it's been 3 months, why I haven't seen changes. It's going to take time. Just like when you go to the gym, you start a new diet, you for many of you, I'm sure, who's watching this, they have experience of, starting a new job, where you start a new job and you may learn a new program or the processes or the procedures or whatever it is, and you're not going to learn it the first 2 weeks of you working there. It's going to take you a few months. It may take you into a year in order for you to become confident and doing what you're doing, right? So it's the same process. You're giving yourself grace. You love yourself. You're embracing those mistakes of what's going on. And that's what life is. So once you master all of that, you will begin to evolve. And then you start all over again because you're another level, like we talked about earlier. And so that's all of what it's about. And so I'm going to end my spiel because I will keep talking, and I am going to sign off. But I am definitely glad that, you're watching this episode. If you watch at the end, I greatly appreciate. And I will, make more videos based on this topic, even breaking it down. If you want me to do that, I'd be happy to, because, I got to talk forever. But, drop a comment in the comments below, and just let me know, like, this is something that you want, do you want me, yeah, blah 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 blah. Is this something that you want me to do more of? I'll be happy to, because your girl likes to talk. All right, so again, thank you again for listening to another episode on the Unbalanced Pedestal podcast. And I will see you next episode. Ciao.